All right, yo, your boy is back from Chicago. I want to try to make up for the lost time with this elongated video of the FEC. And yes, I was finally able to catch the veterans unit, and it was actually on a day I was not planning on rail fanning, but the force drew me to the tracks, and I'm glad it did. So, anyways, I do have all these videos actually in chronological order. So, unfortunately for y'all, the veterans unit's not till the end because it wasn't till like I said the last day that I was actually out ralphing that I actually found it. So this is I believe Sunday when I first started filming this. I decided to go down to New Smyrna because I actually haven't tried filming that yard at all. And I see why there's not very many videos, or at least it's very difficult to film the yard because there's not really too many places where you can get open views of it. As you can see, because you get all the plants, you got a busy roadway, and then there's a bunch of businesses. There's one, I think it's like a grocery store parking lot you can go and actually get a pretty good view. But everywhere else is either blocked by buildings or it's blocked by shrubbery. And then I actually went into the front entrance at the beginning where that sign was, but then as you drive in, there's a bunch of no trespassing signs. So I wasn't going to push my luck, so I turned around. And actually, I found another entrance, and there was no trespassing signs. But after thinking about it, I'm not sure if I should have been there. So FEC, if you're watching this, my bad. I didn't know, and I won't do it again. But as I was over there, I could smell some goats, if you know what I mean. And then I started seeing little tidbits of goats through in between the cars. And so I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can get some better footage of these goats. And so yeah, that's where I ended up finding this little roadway that was open. And like I said, I didn't see any signs. And so I was able to get some better footage of it. But these are some of those old Union Pacific SD40-2s that the FEC bought, I think back in 2002. And I don't know what the plan is with these, but they obviously don't look like they've ran in a while. And they look pretty bad. But they're not scrapped, so I'll take it. Rather than sit there and I can look at them than them to be scrapped. But maybe they'll turn them into more of those autonomous track inspection vehicles like that one. Maybe that came from here. I don't, unfortunately, foresee them being refurbished, but you never know. Who knows? But anyways, this is that spot I was telling you about where I found this roadway. Like I said, I didn't see any no trespassing signs, but I stopped here because I wasn't sure. And so I got a good footage of this herd of goats sitting there. And for those of you who are wondering why I'm saying goats, I'm talking about the SD40-2s. And if you haven't seen my previous videos, they're the greatest of all time. They're the goats, in my opinion. So, because I grew up with them. And yes, I'm biased, but it is what it is. But anyways, after I got that footage, I left because I didn't want to push my luck. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be there. So again, FEC, if you're watching this, my bad. So anyways, I went back up to Bunnell, and I was able to catch this evening southbound train. I don't know the train numbers. One of you higher nerds can let me know what train number it probably is. I'm not at that level of foamer yet. Like I said, I'm a foamer, but while y'all foam over trains, I foam just because I messed up. So anyways, I just like watching trains. I don't actually pay attention to what the actual numbers are. So any higher level nerds of trains or FEC nerds, feel free to comment below what actual train number this probably is. I think it was like 7:30 in the evening or something like that. So anyways, like from what I've gathered, most of the southbound trains occur in the afternoon, and most of and they go into the early mornings, and actually a lot of the northbound trains are in the early morning. So I think usually what I've found is I start seeing the southbound around 2:30 in the afternoon, at least here in Bunnell. I don't know what time they actually start from Jacksonville, but in Bunnell I usually start seeing them around 2:30, and then I've seen like probably the latest one at 4:30 in the morning. So anyways, but yeah, this is a southbound train. This is, I believe, the only train I caught on Sunday. I wasn't actually sure if I was going to catch anything, but usually on my way home I'll check the signals, and I saw this signal was green, and I ended up waiting in over an hour to finally catch this. And the gnats and the other bugs were pretty freaking annoying. So, you're welcome. So here's one of those northbounds I was telling you about. I don't know exactly what time they usually leave Miami, but usually it gets to the Bunnell, Palm Coast area around 9:30 to 10:15, give or take, depending on the day. But usually pretty consistent. But I will leave you with the nice morning sounds of the Florida wilderness, the birds, the bees, the GEs, and homeboy going to town with his weed eater. All right, so I returned to that spot late in the day to catch the afternoon southbound. Again, this train is also pretty consistent. I can usually catch it between 2:30 and 3. And, of course, with it being June in Florida, it's hot as fuck outside. And if you look close, you can see all the little heat waves went across. And, this is going to sound crazy, but maybe the other people who grew up in the South can back me up on this. But the locusts, you can hear the locusts in the background. Locusts are a measurement of heat in the South. For some reason, when it's extra hot, they make noise. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm crazy, but it's a thing. So I relocated a little further south at the New Smyrna Beach yard. This is the south end of the yard, and you can see the train coming through the yard and crossing, I believe it's 10th Street. Catching that southbound, I end up hanging around the yard for a little bit longer, trying to see if I can either find that veterans unit or maybe find some local action. Unfortunately for me, there wasn't seem to be much going on there. And for those of you who have been down there, it's really kind of hard to film that yard. But I was able to catch this local that was tied down, but it wasn't on. It was not idling. There was no crew or any crew cars around it, so I believe these either already done for the day or the crew wasn't going to start their shift till a lot later, which I didn't have time for. So I ended up leaving it there. But we will see it later on in this video as I do catch it on another day. Oh, is that a goat I hear? Yep, sure the fuck is. And look at that. We have some old Norfolk and Western and a Southern hopper car. So today was a good day. And for anyone who's like me who thinks one shot is not enough, here's a second one. And like every other filmer who's got a addiction problem, one shot just isn't enough. So I chased this mofo all the way up to St. Augustine just so I get this nice sweeping shot. That, and the minute I heard that horn, I knew it wasn't a GE horn. I already knew, oh, I'm chasing this motherfucker. Because I may be a millennial, but I think like a boomer. And I identify more with SD40-2s than I do GEs. So anytime I can chase a 40 going down the main line, I'm all about that shit. Alright, and the final shot for this day is going to be right here north of St. Augustine and just south of Jacksonville. Can't remember the street name that I usually stop at, but I like this spot because you get that long, far view of the train coming, and especially when I'm trying to get some of these shots of these SD40s, trying to get these long distance shots. I like them. I don't know about y'all, but I like these kind of long shots. Reminds me of the old days. So this was an impromptu railfan video right here. I was not planning on actually railfanning this day. I didn't have any of my equipment. Didn't have my tripod, so excuse the shaky video. I actually had just picked up my 1-year-old from daycare and we were heading home when I saw this sumbitch on the siding. So I decided to let her learn her nerdy side. And we watched this local get ready and head north. And as I mentioned previously in the video, you'll recognize the second locomotive because it was the one that was tied down. Actually, I think the whole consist was the one that was tied down down New Smyrna, because the tank cars look the same. The corn syrup tank cars look the same as before. So, but don't count my word on it.
Alright, so now we're at my favorite part of the video. Now we get to see the Veterans Unit. It's being led by an SD40-2 number 711. 711 was a former Union Pacific 40. And the best part is this is the day that I actually brought my 1-year-old daughter to rail fan with me, so she not only got to see a goat, she got to see a Veterans Unit.
Alright, so we're going to conclude this week's FEC'D Up Friday video with this shot. This shot is in St. Augustine, one of my favorite spots because you can get a far away, long profile shot, side profile shot of the train coming across, and then obviously it curves around and comes up close. But unfortunately, I was not able to time it right this day due to traffic, red lights, and old people, which Florida is known for. And so by the time I was getting out of the car, the train was already coming across, and I had to hurry up and set up this tripod and camera just to get this shot, and I didn't have time to do my GoPro as well. So unfortunately, there's no second look or side profile shot of that beautiful Veterans Unit, but this is better than nothing.
Not sure if y'all noticed, but almost on every FEC train, they usually end up putting a tractor trailer in a well car, which I guess it works, but it's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of common for me. But for those of you who don't know, those tractor trailers that are labeled, usually it's a Raven tractor trailer. FEC owns Raven. It's kind of like, I think even Union Pacific actually has their own like 18-wheeler logistics company. I don't know, I could be wrong. At least I think they used to, maybe. I don't know if they still do. But anyways, I've just noticed on almost every FEC train you will see at least one Raven trailer in a well car. Sometimes you might get 2 or 3. So I guess they ran out of actual TOFC cars, or I don't know. Like I said, I guess it works. I mean, it's your own trailer, and if it gets it north, do what you got to do. But just, I don't know, find it comfortable. But anyways, because you don't, it's not like you'll see stuff like that on any Class 1, or at least most Class 1. I've never seen any of that stuff on Union Pacific or BNSF lines. I can't speak for CSX or Norfolk Southern. I haven't rail fanned either of those enough. But anyways, I think that's comical.
Oh, and by the way, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate your patience. I'm new to these videos, and I'm learning as I go. So hopefully you like this stuff. If not, I apologize, and no, I cannot refund or exchange your time. Kind of impossible. So, thank you.
You ready, baby girl?